for some people it works this way, so for some people it works the other way. And I think I always highlight it in my reels and in my content. That's so important to find something that works for you, not for someone else, because you can watch all those videos, my morning routine, my evening routine, my daily routine, or whatever. But until you find the routine that works for you, the habits that work for you, you're not going to be happy or fulfilled. You're not going to be truly enjoying those things.
Welcome everyone to LifewithLiza podcast. Our mission at LifewithLiza is to share people's stories and the challenges that they have overcome so that those who are listening in can get the strength, the courage, and the hope to be their better selves. Today, we have a very special guest. She is passionate about wellness and self-improvement. She has built a community of over 50,000 people and is sharing her journey there daily, sharing all the tips and lessons, and it's very raw as well. So, Maja, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for inviting me, Liza.
It's such a pleasure to have you here. And let's start with this question. How did you embark on the self-improvement journey? So, now when somebody opens your profile, we see that you have built so many incredible habits and routines, and it seems like you're dealing with your bad days perfectly. And where did you start? How did you find the self-improvement and wellness?
Okay, so around 2020, so, when the whole pandemic and everything started, I was feeling really bored with my life because I wasn't doing much. We all were staying at home and not doing much, just, online school and everything. So I was just very bored, and I wanted to do something to make my life more exciting, more pleasant, to, kind of, you could say, entertain myself and make myself feel better. So I started with gratitude. Gratitude was my first ever practice. That's how I wanted to, kind of improve my life in some ways, be grateful for what I have, because I had a lot at that time. I lived outside of Warsaw because I'm from Poland, even though now I live in London. So I lived outside of Warsaw. So even though, we couldn't really go out, I kind of could, because when I go out, I can't see anyone. Like, no one is there. So basically, I could do so many things that people who live in the city could not. So I had so many things to be grateful for at that time, also now, of course. And so that was the first practice that I started. And eventually, I started building up on it, healthy lifestyle. At that time, I was only exercising, apart from this gratitude practice that I started. And so I started building up, learning more about it. At that time, I was also very interested in psychology. And so that's when I started my other account, because this account that I have now is totally different from the one where I started. So I started my Instagram journey like more seriously around May 2020, when I started my mental health account, because I was interested in psychology and started those practices. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna share my journey. But eventually, I kind of got burned out with it, and I just didn't really feel like this was my purpose. Like, I wanted to share more than just mental health. So I quit. And I think I took about 5 months break. I focused on myself. I was still growing. I was still building up all of my practices. I was still improving my life. And so around 5 months later, around March 2021, I started this account. It's on the same platform, but I just changed the username. I archived all the posts. So I had some community. I can't say that I started from complete zero, but I had about 1,000 followers back then. So yeah, there is a difference. And yeah, and I just wanted to share my journey, to share my positive energy, because as my journey was uncovering, I also discovered that I'm really like I'm a really positive person, and I can share this with people. Like, I can really boost other people with that, which is amazing. And I was not aware of that in the past. And so I thought, yeah, it would be great to actually inspire others to do the same thing, because especially now we really need that. And so, yeah, I started sharing my journey. And as I started doing it, of course, I was still, improving on my own. And so, yeah, this is how it all started.
Oh, that's amazing. I love it. I had a question. So, how did you start your gratitude practice? So, what exactly did you do?
Okay, so basically, I just found some notepad that I could use, just a, normal plain notepad, notebook. And I decided that every single night before sleep, I'm going to write 5 things that I'm grateful for that day. They can be repetitive. I didn't have to, I don't have to write different things every day. Like, I don't have to be grateful for different things every day, right? And so it could be my family being healthy. It could be an amazing lunch that I've eaten that day. It could be playing with my dog or something bigger, like let's say um, winning a competition or reaching more people on my account. So yeah, just writing down 5 things that I'm grateful for every single day.
That's so beautiful, and also you said that once you started the gratitude practice, then you started stacking up other practices on it. And
Hmm.
I thought, it's just so beautiful how one positive habit can have kind of this spillover effect on your life. And
Hmm.
then once you started gratitude and you're working out, you're more likely to eat healthy, or you're more likely to pick up other good habits.
Yeah,
So
it all just builds up.
what habits that yes, yes, exactly. So, what habits are you most proud of that you have picked up?
That's such a great question. I think gratitude will always have a place in my heart because that was my start, um and so I think that, and also because I've been practicing gratitude for 2 years, so I had my low moments, I had my high moments. It wasn't like I
Mhm.
wasn't consistent all the time. It happens sometimes, we just get off the track. And an interesting thing that I've noticed is that when I don't practice gratitude that much, I'm actually feeling much worse. I'm feeling less motivated. I'm not feeling very well. And so it actually has a prominent effect on my life. Other practices, I love exercising. Like, to be honest, I feel like those base things that that I've started with are actually the ones that are making the biggest difference, because I always say it on my account, but exercise helps me the most. Like, this is my place, my thing that always makes me, like, helps me release all of my emotions whenever I'm feeling sad, down, or like stressed. This is what is going to help me. And so, because other practices, yeah, they are helpful, but I feel like they, at least for me, of course, I'm talking about my personal experience, but they are helping me in the moment. But eventually, all those emotions are coming back to me, and I have to deal with them some other way. Whereas when I exercise, when I do a nice workout, I don't know, they just kind of get processed during the workout and they kind of disappear. I don't have to deal with them anymore. And I'm feeling much more emotionally, like, lighter. So gratitude and exercise.
Oh, 100%. I feel like after a sweaty workout, it feels like I have like sweated out all of my negative
Yeah, yeah,
thoughts.
that's so true.
They're
That's so
just gone.
true. Yeah, that's great. I don't know how it
They're
works, honestly.
evaporated.
Yeah, I just don't know those endorphins and stuff. But like, wow.
100%. And you know that you were just saying that you have not always been consistent, even with the most important ones like gratitude or workout, but you still keep going. And I think it's a very important point actually, because we all have, maybe not all, but we have this perfectionist voice in our mind
Hmm.
that says, oh, now you wanted to do something for this whole year, you've been doing it for 2 weeks, and then you stopped for a week, and now you don't feel encouraged or motivated to even continue doing it because you stopped. Whereas, as you mentioned, life is not always perfect, and it's sometimes you are in the flow of things and you're doing your beautiful habits, and sometimes you fall back out of them. But it's like this flow, and we should not be so strict with ourselves.
But to be honest, I feel like it's it comes down to practice, because many of us are perfectionists. I'm perfectionist myself. But the first time I slipped and didn't feel like performing my habits, performing those practices consistently, I just felt rubbish. To be honest, I just felt rubbish. I felt like, oh my God, I've done it for so long and now I just slipped. It's all done, you know? And but I decided no, come on, Maya, like you didn't do it for 2 days and now you're gonna be like, oh, I just fucked up. I don't know if I can say it, you know? Um, so I think it comes down to practice, because practice of failing, honestly, you just have to let yourself fail sometimes and come back without being too hard on yourself. Because eventually you're gonna realize that it's okay to fail, that you can always come back. Because you said that we have a hard time with coming back to those habits. But I feel like, personally, I feel like this hard time comes from us being too hard on ourselves, because this kind of discourages us from getting back to it again, because we feel like, oh my god, I failed, so what's the point to start again? What's the point of starting it again? And once you are more compassionate with yourself, once you realize that, okay, I failed, it happens sometimes, I slipped, but I can always come back. It's fine to get out of the track sometimes, go off of the track sometimes. Then it's much easier, because it's okay. Like, it happened. Now I'm gonna go back to what I was doing, and it's fine. Nothing happened.
Oh my God. When you were saying it, I just got the goosebumps because when you said, I slipped, it's fine, but I can always come back. And there's so much power in it. There's so much power, because the people that actually succeed in this world, it's not that they have never failed. They probably have failed way more times than an average person has, but they just kept showing up and kept getting up. And I think it's so important, this practice, as you said, practice of failure, or how did you call it?
You have to practice failure.
Exactly. And so what advice would you give to somebody who is struggling to get back, get back to that habit? How can they practice failure better?
I think the key is to start very slow. Like, you don't have to, let's say you completely slipped, you don't do any of the practices you used to do. And so don't try to, come back to everything overnight, because this is very unrealistic, let's be honest. Like, it's hard to do nothing and then the next day you do everything. Take some time, try to, incorporate one habit back to your routine. Then maybe after a few days, try adding another one. Just slowly try to get back on the track. Because I feel like there is this tendency that once we slip and we decide that, okay, I'm coming back. You want to start, you want to get back straight away. And that's where we usually fall back to on the wrong track, basically, because it's hard. It's unrealistic. It's very discouraging when we fail to do so. And so I would say, if it's hard for you to comprehend all the habits that you used to have, write them down on a piece of paper. Write down what habits you want to build or you want to get back to your routine, and then choose the one that is most important to you. And maybe even try to do like a hierarchy, so which habit is the most important, which is the second most important one, and so on and so on. And start with the most important one. Try to, build it up again. And eventually, when you feel like this habit is back in my routine, I feel confident with it, I feel like I don't have to put that much effort, both mental and maybe physical effort, into practicing it, that's when you can move on and try to practice the other one, and so on and so on. And eventually just gonna get back to the routine, or even improve your routine even more.
Oh, I couldn't agree more with that. And, I remember I was reading from Jay Shetty. He was saying that what he has done personally, he has, we have different aspects of our lives, like the physical health, the mental strengths, the spiritual part. So he said, focus on one area and really, really nail it down. So for him, it was his meditation practice. He was not that taking care of his physical health, but he was really into meditation. And he said, and now it's a habit for him. He meditates every day for the past 15 years or so. And he said now he's getting into his physical health. And when I was like, oh my God, I cannot choose one. I don't know what I want to really nail down. I don't know if I should do exercise, but I also want to meditate, and I also want to journal.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just so hard to choose, because you feel like you don't want to restrict yourself. Like, I want to improve in all of these areas. But what you mentioned exactly happens also. Even if you already have some habits, but it could be very overwhelming to add so many new things. And then even if I find it, even if I continue doing it for some time, I'm more likely to stop doing it altogether just because it was too much, too
Hmm.
fast of the new things that came
Yeah, yeah,
into.
yeah. You have to give yourself that time to adjust to the new habits that you're adding.
Yes, yes. And also I think that once you add more positive habits, you kind of you leave less space for the negative ones and you kind of like squeeze them out because now you have so many more positive ones. So I was wondering actually, so did you notice that you dropped any of your old habits now as you embarked on this self-improvement journey and building new ones? And if yes, which ones?
Okay, so I think okay. One that comes to my mind first is that I used to wake up back when I was living in Poland. So it was about 3 years ago. I mean, 2 years ago I moved out, but at that point, I was already on my journey. But I used to wake up every morning, and the first thing I was grabbing my phone and checking social media and watching YouTube for like an hour or even 2 hours, just laying in my bed and scrolling or watching YouTube or something like that. And also the same thing just before sleep. So I would start my day with my phone and I would end my day with my phone. And I think that's something we can all relate to some extent, right? And so that was a huge habit for me. And once I learned about the importance of routines, of morning routine, of evening routine, that's when I started, I can't remember the exact point when I stopped, but I stopped. I started having some routines which made my mornings more productive, made my evenings more peaceful. But I said productive mornings. I mean, those are, some people would call them productive. They are just, I call them structured, honestly. Structured mornings, which make me feel motivated and great, for the day. They make me feel like I can do all the things that I need to do during the day. And so the next one, to be honest, all of my habits, all of my bad habits are kind of related to the phone, because the next one is just, laying in my bed for a few hours during the day and just scrolling for TikTok or for social media, and just, to be honest, wasting my time. I can't say that it doesn't happen now, because it does. I have days when I just don't feel like doing anything, and I just can't do anything. Honestly, I can't do anything about it, and so I just let myself, lay down, do some random shit on the internet. But the extent of it is so smaller than it used to be. It happens sometimes, but it's not like, an everyday thing. And I think that is the key balance. Uh, it happens to all of us. You honestly, if you ask anyone and they want to be honest with you, they're going to say, yeah, sometimes it happens that, I take my phone and I get lost in social media for a bit too long. But this balance, so 80% of the time you spend on the things that make you feel good, and those 20% on some things that make you feel good, but actually they are not very good for you. um, I think that's a great balance. And so, yeah, most of the habits that I got rid of are linked to my phone. But I'm not saying that I completely got rid of them. I just minimized them, because also with usage of my phone in the morning and night, like, it happens. Sometimes it happens. Let's say I saw a very interesting notification on my phone in the morning, and I'm like, shit, I have to check it, So I do it. Like, it happens.
For sure, for sure. I think it's so true. And I think checking phone in the morning and in the evening is something that so many of us are guilty of. And I was wondering, how did you break this habit? So how did you break this habit? Because I think it's a good step, to be aware, okay, I have this negative habit that I don't really want, but habits are quite sticky, So how
Sure.
did you break yours?
Okay, so I think in the beginning, as you're starting, you decided, okay, I have this bad habit of using my phone, let's say, in the morning. And so, what can I do to change it, basically? You ask yourself this question. And I think a very helpful thing would be to, first of all, if you're not very resistant person, because we are different. Some people are much more prone to change, and other ones are just it's very hard basically to make any changes. And so for those who are quite okay with changes, I would say just try to maybe put your phone on do not disturb for the night, and therefore you will not see any, any notifications in the morning to, because when you see a notification, it kind of, icks something. You just want to check it. And so get rid of them. Just put your phone on do not disturb. From what I know, when you have your phone on do not disturb, you can enable your alarm clock. So like you're gonna have your alarm on, and yet you're not gonna see the notifications. But for those for whom changing or breaking habits is harder, I would say buy yourself an alarm clock, like a normal one, old one, like this from a store, just not your phone, and put your phone far away. You can turn it off for the night, put it out of your sight, so you can't, in a way that you just can't see it. In your drawer, for example, just don't see it, because once you see it, once it's in your sight, you're much more likely to reach it, to check it, And so buy yourself an alarm clock, put it on, have your phone maybe even in the next room, in a different room, right? And I think that's going to be helpful. Another thing is having a routine and actually planning it out, because at the beginning, when we don't have our routine like very rooted in our lives, I would say it's much harder to keep it, like it's much harder to stick to it. And so in the beginning, I would say write it down, like actually write yourself a plan for the morning and try to follow it. Have it next to your bed, So let's say 8 a.m. I wake up. 8:15 I do my skincare and get ready for the day, like dress. Then let's say 8:30 I read my book for 20 minutes, Just write down a plan. That's it. And plan out when you're gonna reach for your phone. Put it on your plan and try to stick to it. Of course, there are days when it's gonna go amazingly, and there are days when it's gonna go, you're gonna slip. But as long as you're trying, I feel like you're gonna stick to it. You're gonna build this routine eventually, and it's gonna be much easier for you. So yeah, these are my tips.
I love it. And when you were just saying, if you're just more prone to change or you're not that prone to change, and I just was thinking about the alarm clock that I bought. So I guess I fall into the second category. So I bought an actual alarm. The wake up lamp. So
Yeah,
I don't even have my phone in my room,
Ooh, that's amazing.
So perfect, because I don't even have, like I was thinking, it's just like I don't even have to resist anything, because there's literally no temptation. If anything, if I want to check my phone, I need to get out of bed and get ready.
Yeah.
And also, I can go check my phone. So
I don't know, it kind of came up to my head, but for people who have a really hard time with waking up, they have an alarm clock and everything, but they just can't wake up. They just can't get out of the bed. Put your phone somewhere a bit further from your bed. And so to get rid of this annoying sound, you have to get up. You have to get up and turn it off, I think that's an amazing trick.
Exactly. And also, I just wanted to say that I find it, for me personally, it's very useful to know why I want to have a certain habit.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, if just someone tells me checking your phone in the morning is bad, and I was like, okay, but what is it? Why is it bad exactly? What kind of influences it has on me? Because we have some behaviors that we just don't even really think about it, and even if we know they're bad, we don't really know why they're bad, so we don't dive deeper into it. And then once I actually found out how bad checking the phone in the morning, first thing in the morning, could be, I was like, oh my god, now I for sure have to invest my conscious attention into not doing it. And just having that why, for me personally, was very, very important.
Yeah, because we have internal and external motivators, right? And internal motivators are our whys. So external would be our final result. So what do we want to achieve with this certain habit? Whereas internal motivators are our whys. So why are we doing that? Because let's say when we exercise, yeah, we might have, let's say, a goal of making ourselves look better. it's a goal for many of us, let's be honest. Not necessarily me, but like in general. But this goal is not gonna keep you exercising, because this is a long-term goal. You're not gonna wake up one day and gonna be fit and everything, muscular, whatever your goal is. This is something that's gonna happen over time. And so it's not gonna keep your motivation high. You have to have strong whys. You have to have whys that are noticeable much earlier. So let's say when you work out, it's quite a immediate result that you're feeling better. You're just more energetic. You're just feeling much more like vital, And so having those whys, having those uh, reasons to work out, to wake up early, to practice gratitude, to journal, those deeper whys than just the final goal are so important, because those are the motivators that are going to keep us going even when we don't see results yet. And so, yeah, you're right that like
Absolutely.
trying to maybe even research benefits of doing some things, performing some habits, can be so beneficial and motivating. Like, we usually look for motivation, let's say on YouTube, in some motivational videos, or on the Reels, TikTok, things like that, quotes. Whereas I feel like doing a research and finding out all those things, like what gratitude practice can, how gratitude practice can enhance our life, how waking up early can enhance our lives, makes us just like want those results, want those feelings that come with it, And so yeah, that's an amazing motivator. That definitely.
For sure. And I just also I wanted to cover a topic that I'm really curious to hear your opinion on. And the topic is, I really wonder why so many young girls or young people in general are so insecure these days. And I don't know if you also notice it, but um, I'm not sure if it is the social media or the impact that it has, but I just meet so many people that are so insecure and really, really struggling. So I wanted to hear your opinion. Why do you think it is? Have you also yourself felt insecure? And if yes, how also you dealt with your own insecurities?
Mm-hmm. So, in my opinion, this is very much linked with social media, with the age we are living in, where, it's very, very easy to find accounts where, everything looks perfect, everything is perfect, bodies are perfect, or people are always happy, positive, having amazing days, doing all those amazing things, having trips to some, I don't know, Bali, Hawaii, everywhere, just living the perfect life. And not many people are there to share those bad moments, those moments where it's hard. And this is because, it's not fun to share those things. Let's be honest. Like, when you have a bad day, you don't really want to talk to people. You don't really want to share it, not because you want to be fake, but because those are moments where you just don't feel like taking your phone and, saying, oh my God, I have this bad day. It's just not our first instinct to do that. And so I think that, maybe let's start with comparison related to, appearance and stuff. I think social media have such huge impact on how we view our bodies, because it's so easy to see all those amazing models, all those fitness trainers that are so fit, so beautiful, so slim, muscular, whatever. And we just sitting there in our hoodies with a bloat and everything. It's like, oh my God, how is it possible that their belly is always so flat, that they're always,
Flat.
looking so amazing. And I'm here sitting bloated because I just ate, I don't know, lunch or whatever. I'm trying, but I can't look this way. What's going on? What's wrong with me? And the thing is, like, Instagram, taking, like, those women or those men who are, so fit and amazing, they are taking those pictures, they are taking those videos when they look their best, because especially with fitness trainers, this is their brand, their body is their brand. This is how they can show that their workouts or whatever give the results that people are looking for. And so I think it's so important to remember. And like, people are not going to show you their bloat. Like, it's not comfortable. Some people do, and that's amazing. And I love that. I love seeing people who are showing, let's say, I love those comparison pictures that some people post where on one
Instagram
side,
versus reality.
yeah, where on one side, they have this post picture where their belly is super flat and they look amazing. And on the other side, there's a picture taken 5 seconds apart and they are bloated, their belly is out, and everything looks normal, looks the way we look, uh, even in that specific moment. And so I love those. And I think like those kind of posts help me so much because they show me that, okay, yeah, all those models, all those fitness trainers, they look amazing, but they also have those moments where they look like me, where they look bloated, where they look just not that good. I'm not saying they look bad, but they don't look that
Yeah.
perfect. And with, let's say, those good days, positivity, this toxic positivity, I think, yeah, it also, honestly, like, I would say the main root of insecurities now is social media. And so with those positive days, positive, everything is so positive. I think like try to follow accounts who also show the real side of the things. So let's say my account, I try to tell people, I have a bad day. I'm so freaking anxious today that I can't do anything. I just spent my evening watching a movie or even scrolling through TikTok because I can't do anything. I feel overwhelmed. And just showing people that it's not so perfect every day. Like there are days where I feel amazing, where I look amazing, where everything is so perfect. And there are days where I just feel rubbish and I just don't want to do anything. And this is okay. And this is okay. This happens to all of us and it is normal. And just because you see this perfect model on the internet that always has the best mood, is always so energetic, so positive, and her body is so perfect, her face is so perfect, her hair is so perfect, doesn't mean she is or he is this way all the time. They are not. And if they say they are, they're probably lying.
I think it's the realization that actually no one ever is always happy, or no one ever is always perfect, or no one ever has like a perfect day is so important. And also another important thing is actually what I found for myself personally was working out. Because I don't know, I just felt like when I started working out 5 times a week consistently, I just became so much more confident because
Mm-hmm.
you feel like you're lifting weights, all of these workouts that you actually, they're quite tough at times. So like, I don't, mid workout, you'll be like, oh my God, I don't really want to be doing this. Why am I doing this at the moment? It's like 6 in the morning and I want to be sleeping.
Yeah.
And you've done something hard. It's like, I'm proud of myself, and you feel so much more self-reliant and confident and secure. So like actually physically getting the movement in, whatever it is, going for a walk, stretching, weights workouts, heat workouts. I just found that so good for my own confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And just like realizing that no one's, as you mentioned, like no one's ever having always a great day or looking always perfect, but also seeing the progress and doing the physical workouts helped me immensely.
Mm-hmm. To be honest, I can relate. I totally can relate. When I am on those highs on my journey, where when I'm actually consistent with my practices, I constantly work out, eat quite healthy, and doing all those practices, I feel like I'm feeling my best because I actually feel very accomplished. I feel proud of myself, and this definitely helped with with my self-esteem, with how I feel personally with myself. So I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah. And now just the idea popped in my head is that so many people are just like looking these days for like instant gratification, and they kind of want to have it without doing the hard thing. Whereas you need to do the thing that you don't want to do, like for example, a hard workout to actually
Hmm.
feel better, better about yourself. Because it's in doing that hard thing, you actually will feel better. So I think it's something that is kind of, so many people are just saying like, oh, no, I don't feel that confident and I just want to feel confident, or somebody else is making me not feel confident. But actually it's like, if you are not yourself taking the action to feel better, you cannot blame others as well for you,
Hmm. I think
not reaching your potential.
I think the key is to enjoy the process, to learn to enjoy the process and to keep on changing the process. So how you do things or what things you do in your life, what habits you have in your life until
Mm.
you can enjoy the process, because results will come, but they will come over time. They are not going to come tomorrow. And so it's very important to really put that emphasis, to put that focus on creating a routine that is working for you, not for someone else, for you.
Have you found the routine that works for you? Are you still changing it up?
To be honest, yeah, I would say I found it, but I am changing it up because as time goes by, I am changing. I'm a totally different person I was a few months ago, and so my routine is changing with me, and I'm letting it change because this is a natural process. You can't have the same routine your whole life, man. I mean, you can, but at least it doesn't work for me. And so as I'm changing, my routine changes, and it's fine. Like I don't have to stick to the same routine for the rest of my life. And so for now. Let's say my morning routine consists of me waking up. I wake up to school. I wake up around 7 a.m. Whereas when I have when it's weekend, I wake up around 8, 9. I would say, so it's not very early. And so I mean, for some it is early, for some it's not. And so I wake up. I make my bed, but it's not an. It's to be honest, I make my bed sometimes. Sometimes I leave it for some like later. It depends. But then I go to my bathroom, I dress, I get ready, I do my skincare and everything. I go to my kitchen, do myself coffee, decaf coffee, tea, and I sit down and read book for 20 minutes. I aim for 10 pages at least, but when I have more time, I read more. Or if I feel like it, I read more. If I don't feel like it, I'm gonna just read those 10 pages and that's it. And then I go and take my dog for a walk. Sometimes I take her for a very quick walk and then I go myself to listen to a podcast or something. And sometimes I go with her for a longer walk. And then I just make myself some breakfast, and that is my routine. And so that works for me, but it doesn't have to work for other people. Some people might need, let's say, more movement. So let's say they want to wake up and do a workout. Like for me, workout in the morning does not work. The only time I can do a workout in the morning is when I go to a workout class, because that's when I actually have to, get ready and go out. And that's me making a decision that, yeah, I'm going to work out. Whereas it's very hard for me to motivate myself in the morning to work out just on my own. And so I don't do it because it doesn't work for me. Something that works for me is workouts in the evening. And that's okay. For some people, it works this way. So for some people, it works the other way. And I think I always highlight it in my reels and in my content. That's so, so important to find something that works for you, not for someone else, because you can watch all those videos, my morning routine, my evening routine, my daily routine, or whatever. But until you find the routine that works for you, the habits that work for you, you're not going to be happy or fulfilled. You're not going to be truly enjoying those things. So I think it's so important to talk about it. Thank you.
That was beautiful. That was so beautiful. And how do you know if something works for you? Is it the feeling that you get? Do you ask yourself, is it through journaling? How can one find out and be sure if something does work for them or doesn't? Because I also think when you try a new habit, it feels unusual. So it could be, you need some time to adjust. So how do you actually have this balance between knowing if something actually not working for you or if something that you just need in more time to adjust?
So I would say that it's great to give yourself some time to kind of test things out. So I would say give yourself a week, 2 weeks maybe to, let's say you created a routine and you want to see if it's actually working for you. Give yourself a week, maybe 2 weeks, as I said, to see how it is, how you're feeling. Because you can, let's say, start this new routine when you have a bad day. And obviously it's not gonna feel nice. You're gonna feel very, very bad after you finished it because you just have a bad day, and that's okay. And so I think it's important to not just try it for one day, but actually give it some time, give it a bit more time to just see how it feels. And with me, in my case, I just see, how I'm feeling after I finished my routine. Am I enjoying it? Am I feeling great and motivated and ready for the day when I finish it? Or in the case of evening routine, am I feeling peaceful? Am I feeling relaxed? Am I feeling ready to go to sleep and just really, have a peaceful night? Or am I feeling, energetic and all over the place? Um, I think, as you mentioned, journaling would be also a great way. I'm sure you can find so many different prompts on the internet related to, to routines, to habits, how they make you feel. So if I were to give you some right now, I'm trying to make it up now. I would say, let's say, how this specific habit makes you feel. How do you feel when you finish your morning routine or your evening routine or your daily routine? Um, if you if you could have a perfect routine, how would it look like? Those kind of things. Because to be honest, I feel like mm, we subconsciously know what works for us. It's not like it's some crazy things, like you don't have to have some peculiar, weird things in your routine. It can be very simple. And so I feel like we all know what works for us subconsciously, how our perfect morning or a perfect evening looks like. But it's just all about uncovering it. It's all about trying different things and seeing what works and what doesn't. Because let's say you can create a routine and just one thing may work, this one habit may work, whereas the whole routine is not very great. But this one thing made me feel great. And I can feel that this one thing just made me feel very peaceful and content. Whereas those other things were like, could be better. And so I keep this one thing and change up the others. And you keep on trying and trying and trying until you have your routine. It takes time, but it's definitely all about, hit and miss, trying different things and seeing what things make you feel great and makes you feel ready for the day or ready to go to sleep.
Yes,
I
yes.
would
And
say
also,
listen to
as you
your
mentioned, it's
intuition.
all about trial and error. Yeah, listen to how you feel, listen to your intuition. It's all about trial and error. Don't think you'll get it right the first time you do it. Be open to everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Before I ask my last question,
Ooh,
where can
okay.
people find you? Where can people connect with you?
Okay, so my main platform right now is my Instagram, which is at hey.its.maja. This is where I'm basically daily, and it's where I share my reels, all the motivation, everything, all the good vibes. Where else? In a few weeks, I can't say when exactly because I don't know, but I'm starting my YouTube channel. But of course, you're gonna find all the links on my Instagram. I'm gonna announce everything there. But I'm so excited about that. I recorded a few videos already, and oh my god, I love it. Maybe they are not perfect, even because I'm a perfectionist and I try to be perfect. Maybe they are not perfect. They are not the most professional videos, but I'm fine with it. It's gonna take some time to be perfect, but be perfect, be better, but it's fine. I'm fine. So I'm starting soon. I have a TikTok. I have TikTok, and it is hey.its.maja. I couldn't get my normal username, so I had to use this one. So it's hey.its.maja. Uh, and I'm trying to take it more seriously. Let's see how that goes. And also, I have Pinterest, which is hey.its_maja. So you can find all the things there. On my Pinterest, I try to, just make my boards from other pins of other people, to just motivate you guys, to give you some, quotes, maybe some like more visual inspo to work out, to journal, to do all those things, so to just support you on your self-improvement journey. So yeah, TikTok, Instagram, which is my main platform, Pinterest, and soon YouTube.
I am so excited about your YouTube channel, and I'm so happy to
Yeah.
hear that it's coming along and that soon we'll be able to see your videos. No pressure, no
Yeah,
pressure
yeah.
to the perfectionist inside of you.
Yeah, I know. I'm so excited to honestly, like, I've been getting all the messages, from people being like, "Oh my God, you have a YouTube, or are you planning on starting YouTube? Because I want to hear you like in a more long format." And I'm like, "Oh my God, guys, I wish I could start now but honestly, it takes so much time. Like as I was, a consumer of YouTube, I was just watching videos. I I didn't realize how much time goes into creating one video. It's crazy. But I'm slowly getting around it. Like as I told you, I have some videos ready. So it's closer than further. So I'm very excited too.
Very exciting. So guys, make sure to follow Maja on Instagram so that you'll be the first one to know about her YouTube channel. And here we come to the last question.
Cool. Okay.
Usually I ask one question, and I really want to ask two questions.
Okay,
so
that's
the
fine.
first
Don't
one
worry.
would be, what advice what advice would you give to your younger self? To, let's say, your 17-year-old self.
I would say take it slow and easy on yourself. Because as I started my journey, both my self-improvement, wellness journey, as well as my Instagram journey, I put way too much pressure on myself to be perfect, to have everything figured out, to basically, do all the things the way I should be doing them, when it's very unrealistic. Like, we all make mistakes. We all sometimes just, get off the track. And it's very, very, it's not beneficial for you to expect yourself to be perfect. And so, yeah, I would say, girl, take it slow. It's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna come in its own perfect timing. And, if one thing doesn't work out, it doesn't mean it's the worst thing in the world. It may seem like it's the worst thing in the world, when in reality, something even greater is coming. And so you have to trust the process, trust that the things that are meant for you are gonna come in its own time. And you just have to keep on going, keep on trying, keep on doing all that you can, putting all your heart into what you're doing, both privately and online. And it's gonna come out better than you could have ever expected. That's what I would say.
Aww, that's so beautiful. That's so
Thank
beautiful.
you.
I hope many people listen to this and they also take it to heart.
Yeah, I
And
hope so too.
this is the last question, I
Okay.
promise.
All right. I can talk to you all day, honestly. I feel so
But the
great
last
here.
one. Like, you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
So, do you have something that you really, really want to do? Because you know that when you'll be 80 years old, you would really regret not doing it.
That's a hard question. Wait, let me think. Mm, it's hard for me to give you one thing, but I think it's trying things. Yeah, it is trying things that might make me feel uncomfortable, but they are actually gonna lead to even more growth. So let's say me accepting your interview request. I was so uncomfortable with that, honestly, because I have some not very great, at least in my point of view, experiences with like public speaking. I'm not a native speaker with English and everything, and so this kind of makes me feel insecure or in some way uncomfortable, talking to people in English, because I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna make mistakes, especially as I'm in like a more stressful situation where I talk to people, I'm recorded and everything. And so it makes me feel uncomfortable, let's be honest, like this thought of people that picking on me or something. But then I remind myself, like, girl, like, they know you're not a native speaker. Like, it's fine to make mistakes. I'm not a native speaker, so no one expects me to be perfect. And even if I was, like, come on, we all make mistakes. And so one thing that I want to do is just get out of my comfort zone as much as I can, as much as I'm able to, accept opportunities that make me feel uncomfortable, but that I know will get me closer to my goals. So things like interviews, things like starting my YouTube channel, which is a huge responsibility, because if I want to, grow there, keep on adding even more value to people's life, I have to be consistent with it. And the thought of having even more work makes me feel uncomfortable, but I know that I'm gonna benefit from it. And so I try to remind myself about it all the time because it's easy to say no, I'm scared, or it's such an uncomfortable thing. I'm not gonna do it. Like, what's the point? Yeah, there is a point. Like, you're gonna feel so much better as you practice those things that make you feel uncomfortable. You're gonna quickly realize that they are actually not that hard, that they are actually not that stressful, that they are actually not that scary. And you're just gonna get used to them. You're just gonna get used to the feeling, and they're gonna become so much easier. They're gonna become easy. And for example, that's my goal with interviews. I want to become comfortable with interviews. I want to just talk to different people and feel great, be able to share all the knowledge that I have, be able to show all the value, all the inspiration that I can offer. And yeah, so I want to get out of my comfort zone as much as possible.
You know, Maja, if it was a live show now, there would be like a round of applause. I think everyone would say that you have done a great job at this interview, and I'm so happy you
so
came
much.
here as a guest on Life with Liza podcast. It has been such a pleasure to talk to you, and I'm sure that this conversation would add so much value to those ones who would listen to this. So thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much for inviting me again, because honestly, Liza, you're amazing. Like, the way handled this interview, you were actually giving some anecdotes and talking to me. It didn't feel like an interview. It actually felt like a conversation, which was amazing. You really made me feel very comfortable. So I'm really grateful for that, and thank you so much again for talking to me. It just I feel really amazing now, and now I can smash my day. I feel great. So thank you so much. You radiate so much positive energy, which I love. So
Oh,
so yeah,
beautiful.
thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.